Hey there, it's Dusty with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is actually from True Off My Chest and is titled, I am contemplating divorcing my perfect husband over pants. We got married quite young and it's been 20 years since. He's been a good dad to my daughter from a previous relationship and we are raising our underaged son. He's supportive, cooks, cleans, takes care of our house, and takes time to date me. The one thing is that he's explosive. If something doesn't go as planned or he's irritated, he will curse and yell. Not at anyone in particular, but in the general direction of gods, if you get my meaning. And as fast as it happens, it always goes away quickly. He doesn't hold grudges, nor is he ever physically or actually threatening. When I was younger, it was easy for me to tolerate and disregard, but now I'm really bothered by this. None of us are perfect, and I've also been known to be temperamental in my younger days, but I feel that with maturing, I have gone more the route of thinking first, acting accordingly. So the issue at hand. Recently, my closest brother lost his battle to cancer. The day of the funeral, everything started. My daughter and I were almost ready when my husband started showering. Fine, he's a guy, he doesn't take that long. Then his jacket was wrinkly and he wanted to use a steamer on it, but that didn't work, so he was running around the house screaming at it. So I went and ironed his jacket. He was supposed to drive, didn't grab the keys or his hat and gloves from the house, more yelling. When he returns, I notice he's wearing dark blue jeans instead of a black suit. I pointed out that my mom will never let it go if her daughter's husband shows up at a funeral not dressed properly. More yelling and stomping. He goes to change, comes back yelling that I should be happy now that he's wearing pants that don't fit him. I start driving because I was so tired of his antics at this point, and not far from the house, he noticed he's forgotten his wallet, gets out of the car and marches back to the house. As we get to town to pick up the flowers, we're already 20 minutes late, and walking into the shop, he suddenly turns around and starts to hiss at me. That he'd much rather split from me than ever wear anything uncomfortable for anyone ever again. The funeral was a blur. I don't know if I cried more for the loss of my brother or the loss of my husband. I feel so numb at this point, I don't see a way out of this. While I get that he might be grieving too, I feel like he overstepped the line, and I'm not sure that despite his great traits, I could ever forget the way he acted on that day. He has not said a word, no apologies, no explanation, no asking me how I'm doing, just ignoring the fact that he threatened for the first time ever to divorce me over some pants. The title of this, by the way, says, I am contemplating divorcing my perfect husband over pants. I don't feel like it's an accurate title, given the story that we got here. So this guy obviously needs to do some work on communication, right? Probably even more so needs to do some work on processing of feelings, because anytime there's like the slightest frustration here, he goes right into, what is it, lizard brain or monkey brain mode. He just goes into this mode where he's just stomping around and goes into tantrum mode, basically. Like he never progressed with learning how to process these difficult times past that. I know you're looking at me like this because I do this sometimes too, right? Oh, okay. Okay. It was like, mine isn't like this. I'm not going to stomp around and curse around and like, and throw a tantrum, but my like, a problem goes to DEFCON 1 for me really quickly, right? It's like, crap, something's gone off the rails. And then as Tony Spark will say, the sky is falling. But it's not like this. It's not like I'm gonna run around swearing at everybody and throwing a tantrum. He's got to do some work on being able to process his emotions, because right now they're all just coming out in a combative, like F everything kind of way. He doesn't know how to process that. And we've talked about this a lot, like especially guys generationally weren't taught how to process emotions, weren't taught how, except to like just stuff it deep down, bury that shit and don't address it, right? You can get pissed. Pissed is okay. Nothing else is okay. Only pissed. So he's channeling that in the one way that he knows is okay right now, which is getting pissed. That's changing, obviously, but like generationally, there has to be this education and this learning that we go through to be able to figure out how to process this shit. And mine started much later in life. So for him, it's been 20 years. They got married young, and he's got some work to do here. And now, you know what OP explained with getting wiser with processing emotion over time. Like she's learned herself. She's learned how to process what she's feeling and how to self-reflect and how to say, this is this is a valid response, or this is cognitive distortion, and this makes sense, this doesn't. He hasn't learned that yet. Number one, I think there's a point of getting older where you stop giving a shit, and they're not there yet, right? They're not there yet, but there's this point where you stop giving a shit and you're like, I've done my nickel. I can say whatever the hell I want. He's not there yet. He just hasn't learned how to process these emotions and turn them into anything other than a tantrum. She is on the receiving end of this and has been putting up with it for a long time, and I understand her frustration, but taking what he said in this tantrum as something that is real is dangerous, right? She has to recognize that when he's having this tantrum, he doesn't mean anything that he says. And if you went and talked to him right now and you were like, hey, did you know that you threatened divorce over a pair of effing pants? He'd probably be like, oh shit, did I really? I had no idea. I understand your frustration. I wouldn't give a lot of gravity to his words during that time, because I guarantee he doesn't mean it. He's just in like a freaking fury state. Candy Thunder, what do you think? Thoughts, me love?
I think that men in the past have been taught to not have emotions, and like you said, to shove it all down. But I think we can all agree that the way that he is acting is toddler-like. He's throwing a tantrum. Like, at the end of the day, I think the question is why? That would be my question. Why is this your response every time something doesn't go as planned? Why every time you get irritated? You know, as an empath, like those things, whether they're intended for me or not, like I still feel them on a deeper level. Like I carry them with me. I take them in my purse, and that's how it happens. But he still has to fix it. Like you can't be explosive and yell at people and expect them to just always be there, because they're not going to be. Because while it doesn't mean anything to him, it means someone to the person who's receiving it. It means something to people that are around him. Like it hurts them whether his intentions are to hurt them or not.
The tree remembers what the axe forgets analogy.
I don't think, I think that he loses his filter when he gets upset and his words just flow from his mouth unintentionally. He's still responsible for what he says, and he's still responsible for the way that he acted.
Sure.
And he still has to find a way to fix this, because this is not a normal response, like to something. Oh, sure, we all get to the end of our rope, but if he's getting to the end of his rope every single time something doesn't go as planned, not okay.
It's a short rope.
Yeah, it's too short. He needs to figure out how to make the rope longer. Sounded weird. But I think whether we intend to hurt people with our words does not matter. If you hurt someone and you love that person and you don't want that hurt to stay, you have to apologize and you have to make it right. Even if that was not your intentions, even if he doesn't remember what he says, he remembers how he acted. And it kind of reminds me of like Leah after the Rob thing on Love Island. Like, and people just spew venom.
Tony Spark perks up.
People just spew venom, and it doesn't. And sometimes they, like you said, they don't even know what they're saying. They're just pissed off, and it's just flowing from their mouth. But you're still responsible. Whether or not you intended to tell your wife you're going to divorce her over pants is not the issue. It's the fact that you said it. Like, you did it, so you have to figure it out.
It's not.
There you go. Dude, it's Nikki says intention versus impact. Exactly.
The pants aren't the problem, obviously. But I think the big complication that you have here is that he doesn't know why he does what he does. I think he knows that he was responsible for his actions and his words no matter what. He doesn't know how to change it.
No, and he needs therapy really bad. But here's the bottom line is that he's obviously grieving because his fuse seems shorter than normal, right?
It was her brother, but
it's her brother, and
I imagine they still had a relationship.
He's still grieving. They've been together for 20 years. But also it just doesn't excuse it. And the fact that it happened on her brother's funeral is like it, it's like it's even worse. It makes it so much worse. And he needs to apologize and he needs to get in therapy. And those are the two things that would keep me in this relationship.
But he's got to first, before that, recognize what's happening.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing. Like, how could OP help him recognize what's happening? Maybe just sit him down and say, hey, here's what happened that scared me into this conversation. And I need you to know that this has happened so many times before that we're at a tipping point now where you have to do something to fix this. Here's what I think is happening.
Right.
But expect him to be defensive during that conversation, right? Because he's going to perceive it as a personal attack.
Oh, for sure. He's going to get pissy. And I mean, if he does that and he's not willing to work on it, then you have your answer. It's divorce. Like, you can't be his emotional punching bag. That's not a healthy relationship.
No. I can hear this line already. You're going to divorce me over pants?
Yeah, exactly. That was the last straw. That's it. So yes, I'm divorcing you over pants. But if I have 20 years invested in a relationship and I want to continue in this relationship and there's this thing that I want my partner to work on, yes, I'm going to give them the opportunity to fix what is going on. I'm not just going to throw in the towel and be like, I'm done, I don't care. No, I'm going to come to this man, if it was our relationship, and tell him what I'm feeling, get his feedback, and figure it out with an action plan. I'm not just going to divorce my husband with no... And you know what? Even if he did throw around the D word, and I understand it, like, that does not make me someone who's getting walked all over. Like, I have my personal action plan, but I'm also going to my partner to understand what he's going through and to figure it out together. If he's unwilling to figure it out, then I have my answer. But I'm not just going to be like, nah, I'm done. That's not me. That's not how I act.
Reason for divorce?
Pants. Irreconcilable pants.
Irreconcilable pants. Yes. I like it. Okay, so there's not really like an ask on rating for this, but that's a complicated situation, and from the sounds of it, OP, like, yes, he doesn't know what's happening, he doesn't know why he's doing what he's doing. I kind of feel like you're right there with him. Like, you understand that it's happening, but understanding why it's happening and what needs to happen to fix it, that has to be kind of an enlightening moment for you too, and then you've got to share that enlightening moment with him if you want to give it that chance. He's obviously done enough damage to warrant whatever action you see fit now. Now it's a matter of what's your goal.